Hi everyone. This episode is going to be titled Use Your Knowing. And I'm going to talk about what that really means. Because, you see, however old you are right now, and whoever's holding your hand, regardless, you have some abilities, you have some skills, you know some things, right? Some things you might know very vaguely, some things you might know very clearly. Now, when I say use your knowing, go look at your state of being when you are doing something or you know how to do something and you're doing it. You know, let's say you know how to kick a soccer ball to the crossbar, you know? Go do it. Use your knowing. Whenever there's a moment that presents itself, use your knowing. You gotta be so sensitive to life to the degree that you're aware of the flows and what the flows are bringing you. What does that mean? See, I was a person who was very sensitive. In other words, egotistical, in that sense, insensitive, I guess. I was very egotistical, I was very caught in my own ideas, and I wanted to be this certain character in my life. Now, what happens is that character breaks. In other words, it's as if like life pushes me really hard. It's as if I get confronted directly, extremely strongly. In other words, as if someone was going the wrong way, imagine someone comes up to you and shouts in your ear and pushes you back, and it's like, you're going the wrong way. You're not meant to come here, right? And this is more of an experiential basis. In other words, I was very egotistical, so that image was being broken by the experiences I was having. This is a while back, by the way. This is a long time ago. But after that, I noticed that I continued on. In other words, I had these experiences that pushed me back and that told me, you're not this character, stop trying to be this character. So what ended up happening was that I put those characteristics away. Literally, I stopped that kind of life and went into my own retreat. I felt life was going slightly slow for me. So I stop and I go and I spend time in my solitude and, own understanding. And eventually, after time, some things catalyze me. Catalyze me to the degree where you become attentive to the moment, literally where you are right now so much, that I don't know how to say it, but you see your own rhythm. You see your own rhythm. And I don't know how else to explain that to you, but to say that you're going at a certain pace, at a certain, state, and that state will change, just like how your growing state changes your childhood to now. So don't think every morning you wake up you're the same person. Your memory might tell you that, but how you use your memory for now is vague. Imagine how great you would consider yourself if you were consciously aware of everything that had happened to you ever. You would see yourself as expansive as the cosmos of all that you are. When you explore your being, the human just stands in awe. Therefore, you understand that there is a possibility to be greater than the forms we feel we are stuck in. It's as if you agree with the most objective view given to mankind. However, at the same time, there's something more. That's why you're here. If that was the end, that's it. That's the most recent belief. No, there's new beliefs, there's new understandings. 1,000 years from now on, the people standing on this planet might be totally different. They might have a different sensitivity. They might find themselves never have to left this planet, as if the same essence of evolution that is within us, that is transcending in this existential, reunion, is it holds everything within it. You know what I mean? You need to understand that, for example, if you're going based on the objectivity of your form, then that is limited, because literally there could be a dimension, or there could be the same story of how your life is, but in a totally different outline. In other words, another parallel reality where something else is happening differently. You know, when you understand that, it's crazy. Because it's suggesting that your craziness was never craziness, but you're tuning into an altered state of your self-induced, projected, and drawn reality. You see, it's as if we are a projector that needs to be aware of the projection. It's okay to take the steps, as everyone is right now in life, but to be aware who's stepping and where are you stepping to. Do you want to be lost in the world of form, or do you always want to be teased by the formless, or do you want to break all idea and go within the silence where the noise first originated from? There's a transparency there. I can't explain it, and I will never be able to. Another human wording system would be ever able to explain it, because it is not just 2D, it's 3D. You know what I mean? That's the type of dimensional difference it has. So, to, let's say, somehow make that more simpler to explain, the 3D is aware of the 2D. The 2D is not aware of the 3D. Only by forgetting that it's only the 2D and it's this and that, as Bashar, this man said, you know, this being said. Anyways, you see, I find myself to be someone who is asking questions that are helpful if we find the answers to, for everyone, right? So we need to begin finding the good questions. And you know who asks the good questions? It's the people. The people have to ask good questions to the degree that God is always answering. You see, an idea that just came to my mind, which I would love to talk about right now, just to add some imagery. It's as if Zeus, in all these pictures where there's Zeus and they're the gods, we have Zeus, and then we have the eagle, and then we have man. So in certain movies, I've seen Zeus turn into an eagle and then to visit man, you know? And it's very interesting, because then you see it's as if an eagle is of more of a transcendent form than this, in regards to its vision. So in other words, I'm talking about if you were a mental eagle, you know, in other words, this is very hard to explain, but you had vision over your own ideas and form. It's as if the eagle is one body of physicality moving so up that it's becoming more aware of the physicality, you know? The body you have suggests the atmosphere and environments in which your experience flows in. As you become more sensitive towards that, you see that which is attracting the direction of your life is the origin of you. And that origin of you is unspeakably originated. There's a reason it's inconceivable. So stop going in circles in the ideas that you create of where you are and what your condition is. The condition is a pure slate or moment. You know, it's a moment of coexistence, any type of existence and creation, any idea. You can have any idea within the moment. You know, that's why beliefs shouldn't be that important, because they can alter in a second by someone saying another belief. You see, it's no longer the same belief even when the context is being bashed by other beliefs. You're not here to just watch yourselves fall. You're actually never watching yourself fall. It's being always your next step. It's being it. You know, you're not worried about it. You are it. You know, something in that kind of, I guess, range of definition. I don't know what else to say. I hope these moments we just had can show that to use our knowing is to know how to use anything. Once you see that the user is never the one who knows, it is the knowing in which the user sprouts from to be self-aware, then we are greater creators trapped in our lack of vision. And when I say greater, I mean multidimensional in the point that we cannot conceive any more greatness. We just can't see it. So the unknown is always our God, or the one who is changing God's face. The unknown change, which is the now, both separate and unified. It's as if the creator, the person who designed, who drew the first yin-yang in the world, you know, he saw that same relationship in everything else in existence. And that was the purest symbol that he drew. Which meant that just as how I'm looking at this page and there's a separatism, but my idea is its unification, the exploration of certain, I guess, experiences you have, which you categorize spiritual, really suggests the concepts you're being entertaining. In other words, you see, physically we can do something that is not aligned with its mental, let's say, reception. In other words, physically we may see something happen, but how we explain that story to someone may not be accurate, may not be that real, because everyone has different levels of reality. In other words, some people believe they see ghosts, some people believe they don't. Some people believe they're this, they believe that, and each experience is real. Do you understand? The same experience that the atheist is having, the priest is having. You know, it's the present experience, and within that present experience, there's a freedom to experience beyond the limitations of time, you know, and space. There's some limitations put, which are self-creating our experience. In other words, the reason scientists are finding that every answer to their question is because when fidgeting with a hologram, they found out how to program it before they fully see it. You know, it's kind of like, and it's not. I really wish you don't make any stories of these things I'm saying. I'm just suggesting certain behaviors that I find the scientific community projecting, right? I, for one, love the progression of science, and it did really save man, because our health improved when science was discovered and taken seriously. However, now, our mental health, science is not paying that much attention to. Science is actually making it too hard to explain that we need natural remedies, because we're natural beings. You know, we're from nature, right? We have a nature of being alive somehow. You know, we're not just a bag of, you know, guts. So, based on this livelihood, there's a mental livelihood. In other words, right now, humanity has understood the value of taking care of other human beings. The Dalai Lama came in and said, be compassionate. However, you need to understand, there also needs to be compassion now to ideas and any mental activity. See, when you make something legal or illegal, you're judging ideas of other human beings, right? And they are running their life with those ideas. So it becomes a hard thing. So it means that, similar to how we are saying we value every human being, let's keep people more alive than dead, you know, or the majority of us loves to feel this way, you know, because it is the act of love that keeps us together. But there's more, because now we need to have this mental compassion be seen in our kids, where there's no longer bullying because there's no mental judgment, because people are aware that ideas are flowing. And this is hard. Do you know why judgment starts? It always starts when you put the name tag on too firmly. If you're not aware it's a name tag, you really think it's that, right? And then when you see someone say something to your name, you get offended. The offense is because you are not being authentic, if I could say that. And you know, who the hell am I to say these? Who am I? I'm just some random guy telling you, be authentic, be not authentic. Guys, it's not about that. It's about, regardless of who is speaking, you're aware of both the change in your physicality as it's happening, and the change in your mind, and the change in that which is defining everything. That person who is writing your personal dictionary, be aware of that. Be aware of where the meaning of words come from. Understand your memory is based on how creative you are in the moment. Do you know what that means? That means that you have a better memory if you're more creative with your moment. And creativity is only apparent when there is an unknown madness to how you are trying to find shape, how you're trying to shape something, There's nothing wrong with madness. There's nothing wrong with craziness. The thing that's wrong with these words is the images you have of what kind of conditions they suggest. In other words, when someone is voting, how do you know they're seeing the same ideas, that you are the same? How do you know that they have an awareness to this, And so you don't. So the certainty of what you want is not based on your choice. Because you see, if 1,000 people vote, it's as if they're buying into the system of government you've put in. It's as if what we find to be democracy is everybody voting for one man to make a decision whether he wants to be for office, And this is in no way giving any sense of bad establishment that we have here. In other words, you see, everyone has views. These are my views based on the things that I know of what I feel is methodologies of political practice that shouldn't be kept. But regardless of that, to use your knowing means to know whatever that is that you are using. It's not a hard thing, guys. Life is not hard because there's no definition of hardship. You choose your definition of hardship, so it's subjective how hard it is. Some people might love the fact that they're in life. You know what I mean? Like, to be alive, to be in that full experience. If you're not caught in... See, I think there should be this perhaps ratio that your attention to a thought or a story suggests the level of existential distraction you have to your own being. In other words, your self-awareness depends on how much your attention is on the same stories. You know what I mean? Like, I tell you something today, you'll be like, oh, this is the profound truth. Oh my God, we're understanding things. Wow. Oh my God, I got enlightened by the truth. And then you sleep, and the next day you learn another thing. Do you know what I mean? See, the Buddha was not that ignorant to just say, I did it, guys, before I die. You know what I mean? I did it. I found out. I know what life is. It's not that kind of ignorance. What we find to be Buddha's path is, very interestingly, a man explaining to men that they are more than men. That is what the Buddha did, and it's perhaps the greatest moment in history. I think in all existence, actually. When man is realizing his greater self. His greater sense of being, his transcendence, his evolution. You see? I am looking at pigeons now. In, let's say, a couple thousand years, if we maintain ourselves, what beings would I be looking at? What kind of interactions would be? And you would realize that the world is progressing to directions we can have no idea about. In other words, our world is heading to places where our greatest scientists don't even know. Because you don't understand. If me and you, let's say, were extraterrestrial beings, let's just say we were just. This is mainly for a joke. I don't want to talk about this topic, at least in this context. I want to talk about it later in a better context. But for a joke, let's say if me and you were extraterrestrials and we were observing the human being, right? We would see that if we can't go up to all of them and say, "Hey guys, we're here," because all of them will freak out because it's not going to be the same thing for them because they have doubt. It's as if you are certain when you are alone and you're less certain when you're with others, unless all the others accept a certain certainty. In other words, laws are what is defining collective movements, principles, ideas that are seen the same by each person, You see, you must choose the choices that are given to you and the choices you can see. For example, if I, tell you that there's only 2 options instead of 3, when I tell you there was always a third option, you'd feel like you'd been deceived and you'd want to get angry, right? But you realize anger has an outcome, and does it get you closer to your outcome? If you got angry at people based on the way they were treating your life was treating you, is that the best outcome? Is to act irrationally and suddenly blown up in front of another person a helpful idea for that person, for another person to view even, and a state that is not in control, you see? Even though in anger you do feel in control, because the physical has nothing to do with the mental. In other words, there is a relevance from the mental to the physical, but the physical fades in the eyes of a greater design of thought. Old thoughts fade as new thoughts are born. So similar to how we're having a lot of these births, we're having a lot of birth of ideas that don't know how to communicate themselves because our collective is only acknowledging certain things. Our creativity is hindered because we feel life has to be only in this way. Life can be in many ways. Because our eyes and their origin is not just here, but it's all existence within this moment, present to us now. It's self-realization. Self-discovery. Why would you have to even discover yourself? Aren't you sure that you're a mean, or you're this guy, or you're this definition and this certainty? Sometimes your physicality aligns with your mental form, your physical form aligns with your mental form, right? And you feel you understand the formless to such a perfect degree because you don't need to know it. You're so confident in your form that you are sure that this is the view of life, right? Unless you get closer to death and you realize there's more to life than that area of observation. It's as if it was never enough to examine some parts of life and to make a conclusion. The only way life was measured and any measurement was given to life was only at the end of its journey where it never stopped. You don't need to judge yourself, or as I've said, you don't need to stop yourself while drinking. It's not about the drinking. It's not about the activity, it's about the presence of the action and the awareness it is present in. And that awareness is not just yours. So, if me and you were that extraterrestrial sight looking at humanity, you'd be like, they cannot acknowledge physical forms which they're uncomfortable with. It's as if me telling you, guys get comfortable, guys get comfortable. That's only a small part of the vision. The greater kind of vision is humanity getting comfortable with all human form, all human mental form. And not getting stuck. In other words, the UN really understanding what that united stands for. And it can't be united unless, as long as they're nations separate. Do you know what I mean? Our nations are united because they're agreeing, but they want to change one another so everybody, can look at their own victory. You see, you're not the only person who wants victory in this world. And this victory is based on the ability of thoughts to affect form. In other words, what is confidence? You are a thought form that is so able that, you go do your thing. The thought is affecting the ability of the physical. Therefore, similarly, our physical and our thought are naturally coordinated. In other words, we don't need to think about ourselves thinking. We're using thoughts. We can move around. We're comfortable with our presence. However, now, what if there are other relationships that we become aware of? What if suddenly the mind begins to alter to such a degree that we realize we can look at it from the stillness of the body and not get affected by thought? We can be thoughtless. We can no longer just be thoughtful, not to be filled with thoughts and beliefs. We can be, invisibly present in all visibility. It's as if we are in the visible, and that's why we're invisible, We are in the trajectory of our greatest path, and you may think the value of this moment is low based on where you want to get in your life, but it is profoundly great when you see that the idea of you has the infinite potential to be recreated, and the idea of human being is infinitely being recreated towards its greater understanding, as if that gaze that is experiencing through our dream state, our wakefulness, in our waking state, in any other state, is aware that it is going to experience through the eyes of the thoughts of man as well, and it always has. It's as if our presence is multi-layered, and we were never the first layer of the onion. There was definitely more in this fractal, infinite combination of simply complex and complexly simple ideas. Clarity is found through the stillness and silence of your mind to perceive a pure and clear moment where the knowing is simply your ability to create and give yourself an opportunity. You must find yourself able enough to be given opportunities. If you don't feel you are opportune, if you don't feel you deserve luck, then you will not be lucky. It's no longer a sense of deserving or not deserving, it's a sense of knowing. You know you are here for this, and that is when you have found your path and your ambition is becoming you. Your ambition is calling you until you reach that devotional presence where you are no longer trapped in the identities, and in that form of identification, where the greatest identities come from the greatest vocalists, and those who cannot speak have ideas that are trapped in them. No. You place the bricks of the walls that are blocking your view. You have placed them. Now, that the sense of self that placed them was in a condition where it thought it couldn't. Now, you're in a condition where you can think you can. So always think that you can achieve and reach the end of your endeavor. You can be a complete moment of experiential bliss of your existence, of what you are. And you notice, just as much as the sun is hitting my face right now, and I am outside, so it's really hitting my face very heavily, but that same warmth is the warmth that is keeping us here. By all looking at the sun, we are looking at the same thing, something which is greater in physicality, but tangible in idea and incomprehensible in form, unless it is broken into its formless presence. Your life is more than your imagery and your choice in the combination of the images present in here. You're more capable and able based on the self-awareness that you have to how able you are, your ability. What is your ability? Find it, look at it. Don't get opinions on it unless the opinion comes to you because they can see the talent that you are. Do not be desperate because it's not a race. You dictate the flows in which you complete the things you do in this life. You know, there are those who believe that we have life purposes. There are some ideologies that look at the human being and know that when it's born, it's here to do some things, to be present in some moments, to be there with some other people in their lives. You know, you're here to do some things. You notice that as you go do these things, you are dictating how late you are. You're dictating how much of life you've lost. You dictate you have lost out on. You know, you're dictating the value of your moment. And once you become aware of who is dictating, the dictation is no longer important. It's no longer about self-reassurance where you're telling yourself you're fine. You're not fine. You're dissolute. You're transparent. You're existentially present, where there's no need for rebellious action, but only the rebellious action to look at our own thoughts. And you know, regardless of anything, some people, you know, this is a very different, this is a very special session. Usually I am more calm, but in this session, because I'm talking about knowing, it is something that should be said loudly. And when I say loudly, it's not about the ideas. It's not like my political views are not important. None of my views are important. It is your reception of anything that you view. It's like how much you're seeing from the moment you open your eyes and how aware you can be till they close. You know, regardless if it's in a day or if it's over a lifetime. That's all I'm saying. Be attentive to that. Be aware of that. There's no teaching here. There's no lesson. There's no sacred philosophy, because I am pointing at an atmosphere greater than thought. However, thoughts have their own realities and honorable origins as well. You see, if you're here living with others, you dictate how honorable you feel you're here. You dictate if you see another human being and you feel a great presence within yourself, or you feel, you know, sadness. You choose if you keep your sense of honor in what you are. Because you see, not a lot of people are making honorful decisions. That's why we have crooks. To stop yourself from becoming a crook, you must become sensitive to the flows of life and understand honor. Understand that you're not here to kill another human being. You're here to help them live better. You're here to be not selfish, but to be selfless and experience many selves, many concepts, many moments. And understand that the value of life is immeasurable by numbers and words, but it can be seen. It's as if we can see God, but we're not God yet. Why? We can perceive God. So the cause and effect are at the same origin point of any considerable duality that is seeking a unification. The unification and the duality are placed in the same space of being because they were defined at the same time. It's as if two definitions were given of the same moment. So experience it however you choose. But understand right now, based on the statue, which is becoming the human identity on this planet, the human condition, it needs to be built by more efficient hands, more tuned in hands. You need to make your decisions not by the certainty of, let's say, a sense of self, by the certainty of life, by the certainty of the moment. You need to feel out if it's the right action. Because you see, the intelligence of life dictates you outside of your comfort zone if you listen to it. It's as if you are stuck in a bad habit, the flows of life will tell you, get out of there. You're supposed to be here doing something which you feel right now you can't do. And then when you listen to the sensitivity of the flows of your life, you receive a direction, you receive a purpose. And that purpose is personal, but it means more to you than any other opinion. There are certain truths you have, which if you explore again, they show you worlds that only you can see. Enjoy those. See if they want to be spoken out into the collectivity, and then write them down or express your art. Understand, words are not greater than brush strokes and acts of compassion. The same artistry can be seen in the monk, in the writer, in the activist, in the sinner and the saint. It's everywhere. And this is fundamentally actually pointing to a bit of Taoism, because Taoism is the only belief that I find the closest to where my eyes can no longer be defined. The Tao that can be spoken about is not the real Tao. First line. of this work, of this written work. And it is the greatest line known to man. For replace from Tao any other word, and you will see the fabric of our existence and our mental realities. You see, we are at a mixture of experience. In other words, we are having some experience based on this stable physical certainty, but then we also have experiences in realms where a sense of self is uncertain, so there is no sense of self. In other words, when you're dreaming at times. When you're dreaming at times, you don't know who's dreaming, and that changes your reality. You know, there was this very great Zen master, I believe, who had a dream once, and he dreamed in his dream that he was a butterfly, you know. And similar, even though this Zen master had a dream of, like Martin Luther King, to take human consciousness to a certain level, he also understood that there was a huge problem. Because if he was having as much real experience in his dream as he was having in life, was he the dream or was he this? And many princes and many people throughout the decades have gone through that state where it's as if they've observed themselves observing in both their dream states and this state, and sometimes in that nothing state. So you're not the state, you're not the condition, you're not the forms. You are that awareness to the form which is choosing what to see. You are your own sensitivity. And it's based on the most immediate idea that's in your mind. If I tell you love, you can look at all existence through love. If I tell you hate, you can look at through existence through, you can look through, that kind of hate and see a hateful existence, You can see. Therefore, it is the purity in your awareness to your moment that dictates even the memory you will have. If you're not present here, you're lost in your past, and your sense of orientation in regards to your memory and use of ideas is limited. If you're trapped in a past experience, you're trapped in a certain response action where you're not experiencing the moment as clearly as you want because you have judgments of it from the past. Or perhaps even judgments from the future. That's not helpful either. There are some people who I've seen who believe there's no purpose to life, and many, there's nothing here, it's just this. And that's the amount they're choosing to define life for themselves. It's like they're like, I don't want to define anymore. That's it. These are the only definitions I'm giving to life, and there's nothing else, buddy. Okay? You either believe these or you don't. And you see that the different beliefs and ideas on earth are simply your choices into choosing what to experience. In other words, if you choose to be around good ideas, you will experience those good ideas and their blending and their relationship with form. In other words, if you talk about wealth a lot, you will see yourself getting wealthier. If you speak about honesty a lot, you will see yourself getting clearer. But then it's like the spiritual route where you think it's a spiritual journey, but it's something you could have never guessed because it's life taking you where you have to go. It's that thing. You see, I want to share some very beautiful ideas right now that, we see a kid running towards like a set of staircase and we're like, whoa, that kid can't maintain himself. He'll probably fall, right? And we have this sense of care. We have this sense of wanting to communicate to the kid of taking a better route, right? So similarly, in regards to our ideas and the ideas we buy into, which we see ourselves in, we are being guided more than our beliefs. Sometimes our beliefs can target an existence that is lost to itself, and sometimes it can communicate an existence that is always found within the moment. You are choosing some beliefs which are setting your mind and setting your sense of identity in place. And the more you interact with your physical environment, the more you will have definitions that are defining a physical you. So it's not wrong to have physical or non-physical mental definitions. This is in that mental realm of subtlety, It's about your knowing and how it transmutes and transpires into your greatest knowing. You see, there's some angles in life no one can give you. You only have to go see yourself, It's as if someone takes you to the roof and you choose if you want to go look down the edge really quickly and safely, or what you want to do, you know? There's some people who choose to jump from the roof. There's some people who choose to transcend physicality, where they have consciously the free will to take themselves to their next life. There were gurus in these ancient texts who, it's really beautiful to see actually, they knew exactly when they were going to die, and they were aware of that sense of shift, you know, of being. They were aware of their, let's say, greater sense of self that was existentially omnipresent, right? And they closed their eyes and they faded. You know, there's many experiences of this story. There's one story in ancient Persia where this person who was really stuck in his ideas, you know, and was trying to be a scientist and was being slightly arrogant, came up to this wild man, this person who had literally no education but was known to be, you know, a very great person, you know? And he's like, you're wild, you don't understand any ideas, you don't understand what life and death is. I'm the one reading about it, trying to figure out, right? And the guy looks at him and he says a few words, and it's as if you're seeing a human being do the last thing they have to do on earth and literally transcend, right? And the man walks up to him and he's like, there is more, and death can happen any moment consciously. He goes up to this person who was reading, and the guy's like, prove it to me. He puts his hat on his ear, and he leans his head against the wall. This is this dervish, you know, this wild man. And he fades into his next life, and his body just remains his body remains still right on the wall. It's as if this person who was about to die was so aware that he died in the most convenient way, where his body is standing still, balanced with a hat against the wall, and his body is just standing still, you know, just like how a broom is against the wall, you know, except there's a hat, you know. And this student freaks out and literally receives a sense of enlightened revelation of how existence is, that he becomes a wild man. The student who was reading the textbook goes and explores his wilderness, the wilderness of life, you know. And it doesn't mean, it has nothing to do with you getting a degree or not. Please don't compare it to that. The sense you have of the type of degree and education you're here to get is your knowing. You know why you're here, so go for it, you know. I'm just suggesting a sense of being active, similar to how kids have been active, but you don't have to be like a kid to be that active. You know, it's like you can experience how much your awareness has increased since you were a kid. Guys, you don't understand, because we can't remember all our memories, you become limited in your idea of self. It's as if you had every memory you had since birth right here recollected, you would see that there's a greatness in your capability, and you have so many abilities to do everyday tasks you're doing. It's as if, because you can't remember, it doesn't mean you can't do something. It just means you don't have the memory recollection to be observant of what's present in the moment to make your decision. Therefore, there has to be an integrative view for your memory to advance. You see, just the fact that we're using ideas and we're writing and we're speaking to one another means that thoughts are important in this realm of view. The fact that how we choose to be alive right now is another definition for someone else. And you know, there are other stories, again, with people who knew their death. There's this other one where there's this Zen... Again, I was hinting at earlier, and this Zen master wakes up and literally he tells people, guys, I have only 3 days to live. We're going to do perhaps ceremonies of me blessing you. So the master was sitting there, and he talks to each of his individual students, and then he lies down and he fades. He goes consciously to his next life. It's as if he's aware of his idea sense of self and his existential self beyond that idea to a degree that he comfortably shifts. It's as if your next life, you're not confused by ideas of a past life or a future life. And it's not that it's confusion. Actually, to remember a past life in this life means to see your existence within many simultaneous stories at the same time. And that is the ability of the human being, to see its simultaneous coexistence just as it can see its simultaneous co-creation within all that is present within the moment. The moment is a valuable funnel where you see an integrated world where the guidance is naturally present to guide you. And this is all that I'm saying right now. This is my experience of it so far. This is my view of the Tao. And, some parts of my view of the Tao is unexplainable, but that's what I'm telling you. It's unexplainable. And therefore we must seek, and it's a personal task to seek the end and the peak of the beauty of experience in your life. Beauty is your guide. Go do something beautiful. In other words, something that is so interesting that you can't see. It's like you're always constantly aware of its change. Guys, some people say that you lose, you have friends at home and then you come to a different country and you don't have friends, but you have family in one country and you come here and you don't have that family around you, but, your friends become your family. It's because you're allowing yourself to see that form of level of existential relationship. You can choose to see yourself connected with all life, and your experience will dramatically change. You want to see yourself more than controlled, governed by governments. You're governed by the flow of existence. You're governed by the rings of, the orbits of, planets. We are a very small entity in a cosmic playground. We are the ant in the cosmic playground. We're not even the ant. We are the same. We are very minute in our physical consideration, but very vast in our mental consideration, and infinite in our existential consideration of this moment and where it's coming from. You need to be aware of your breath if you want to be aware of your death. Consciously, completely. You need to be aware, and you want to see what happens after that last breath of life you have, And this doesn't mean you stop, guys. It's not about going after it. It is not about chasing ideas that promote freedom. No, it's not about a chase. It's about sensitivity and alertness to how you're defining your life. And this can be said infinitely in infinite times, and it still won't be enough if the world believes it's not enough. If you don't believe you have enough, you will chase your loss. You will just live your loss for the rest of your life, And not to make this dramatic at the same time, you won't actually be like that. But I'm suggesting that past experiences stick with us and they clutter our mind in making better future decisions, And you don't want to be stuck by your interest level to past ideas, but you want to be alert, It's like you spend some time to eat some food during the day, right? When you eat that food, you want to see its absolute taste. It's fabulous communication with you, right? And how you're absorbing it. Now, imagine that we extend to a point where you explore thoughts and you simply dissect ideas which create problems in your life. If you break those ideas to see what they're made of and then understand the infinite ability to recreate your potential view. You're a capable person. Do not think you're trapped in a condition, because you're only creating the condition, and God knows how many conditions there are present in the minds of people as much as there are people, If there's much more than billions of conditions, because each person's mind is viewing different things, Again, the most important thing is how you use your knowing, and that is, in other words, how you're communicating to life, and it's a natural thing. Communicate authentically, naturally, and respect and honor your moment. Understand, this is the moment of your livelihood. You are alive now. You don't know how long you're going to be alive, so go do something that is the peak of your experience, that is your joy, that is the tree you climb and the freedom you become. And regardless of the flame, there's the story of the phoenix in Eastern tradition, where the phoenix would resurrect, where the phoenix would, regardless of what tradition it's actually from, but the imagery of the phoenix is rebirth, where you would turn into ash, and all ideas and images and senses of self you had will collapse and burn and turn into ash, having no value, no meaning. It's as if all your meanings of life become meaningless, and simply your body becomes meaningless as well. And in this both physical and mental dissolution, What remains is the greater view that was always viewing you, that was always here. Freedom is experiential. We must always have experiential freedom. We must be sensitive to how our laws are defining our politics, because our politics is governing us based on those laws. If politics thinks that we are mice, we will have a lot more consumer brands, that will make us feel like lab rats, because there's too many types of energy drinks in the gas station store. There's too many substances that we don't know what they are, which we're consuming. That's not healthy. I think a pigeon diet is healthier, actually. It's we must always be able to fly out of our condition, and that means there always needs to be an ability for you that if you choose to entertain a thought and attach to a thought, that you can also detach from it. That is what attachment means, that there's always an ability to detach from the condition that is making you incapable of perceiving your greatest conception of existence. The human condition is valuable because it defines the greatest value that can be achieved through human life. And I hope as you use your knowing, you will really see that knowing was never usable by individual form, but it was existential. Thank you.